Welcome to Animalia. Coming up, mouth to snout resuscitation for a baby tapir. Doggy wheelchairs getting pups back onto their paws. An elephant with a daily skin moisturising routine. A newborn who already towers over his keepers. And a nearly 2-metre long turtle found north of Caracas. "13 years ago, poachers came to Kenya's Meru National Park and under the cover of night plied their vile trade. They shot 5 rhinos at close range and several other animals too, leaving the unprotected park with no viable reason to continue as a sanctuary for Africa's wildlife. Now, a decade and a bit later, rhinos are returning to the Meru National Park, leading a procession of animals that sounds like a scene from Noah's Ark. Meru has started what is described as East Africa's first big project to reintroduce animals to an area decimated by poachers, hoping to protect endangered species and revive a reserve haunted by a violent past. So now conservationists are hard at work trying to move everything from rhinos to elephants and impala. Most of the animals are huge, and many hands are required for the risky work. Three young white rhinos were the first to be sent to Meru from a private ranch in Kenya, while 5 more are to follow soon afterwards. A veterinary doctor is charged with darting the animals right before they're captured and taking blood samples to monitor their health and stress levels throughout the journey. Radio transmitters placed in their horns will also help rangers track their progress. Wardens will keep the rhinos in an enclosure before gradually releasing them into the wild. The system they put into place for the white rhinos will then be repeated for the even rarer and more temperamental black rhinos. An estimated 20,000 black rhinos roamed Kenya in 1970, but their numbers have crashed to about 460, mainly due to poaching. The Kenyan Wildlife Service estimates that Africa's black rhino numbers have fallen by 90% in the past 2 decades alone. By releasing black rhinos into the 950 square kilometre national park, conservationists are providing a new breeding ground and relieving the pressure on Kenya's overcrowded sanctuaries. According to Sam Nagati from the Kenya Wildlife Service, Meru is true rhino country, a vast wilderness with excellent rainfall and proper security. Uniformed rangers carry semi-automatic rifles to protect the new arrivals from poachers, and they keep this priceless trophy as a reminder that the animals in their charge are constantly at risk. A German zookeeper at the Hanover Zoo saved a baby tapir from certain death by giving it mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. The keeper was present at the birth of the zoo's first baby tapir, a small animal related to the rhinoceros that has a long, narrow snout whose favourite food is bananas. Baby Carmina was born buttocks first and had breathed in fluid while still in her mother's womb, which left her in danger of suffocation. After cleaning the blood and slime from the tapir, zookeeper Dieter Schulte held her mouth and began giving artificial respiration. The zoo said all zookeepers were trained to perform the kiss of life on their charges, but that it takes a strong nerve to do it, especially as many animals, including a baby tapir, can give a nasty bite. According to the zoo's spokesperson, Keeper Schulte had a tricky job, as Carmina has very small lungs, and it would have been dangerous to blow into them too hard. But both Carmina and her mother Conchita are now in excellent health. Zoo officials had been expecting the birth to be a difficult one because Conchita is just 3.5 years old, 1 year younger than the average age at which female tapirs first give birth. Most newborn tapirs weigh between 15 and 25 pounds. The youngsters can gain as much as a pound a day during their first year of life. In the wild, baby tapirs are hiders. For the first few tentative weeks, the mother will make sure the baby is hidden in thick foliage in the forest while she leaves to browse. When she returns, she nurses the baby, always lying down to do so. After a few weeks, the baby begins to follow the mother, mouthing leaves and fruit alongside her. But the mainstay of the baby's diet is milk for a number of months, and it may continue to nurse for up to a year or more. Tapirs have keen hearing and a keen sense of smell. They're also strong and agile runners and tend to evade predators or deter them by snapping and biting. They'll also run to water when threatened. Tapirs love to bathe and will make treks to pools and rivers several times a day. They swim well and have even been seen to sleep in the water and shallow pools and streams, usually partly on the bank and partly in the water during the hottest times of the day. Prehistoric tapirs would have looked a lot like their modern-day descendants, although their noses didn't grow to the present length until the last few million years. 4 species exist on the planet today and can be found in dwindling numbers in Southeast Asia, Mexico, and Central America. Squealing monkeys, trumpeting elephants, and growling tigers may be the usual sounds at the zoo. But the tables were turned recently when Tokyo's Ueno Zoo invited its human guests to make like the animals. Zoo officials said it was just a bit of fun to commemorate the park's 120th anniversary, although we have no idea what the animals thought of all the odd carryings on. In the end, however, it was this youth that won for a blaring imitation of an African elephant. And finally, retired zookeeper Taro Nakayama's chimp impression was so true to life, he even got a reply from the chimps themselves. Communication. That's what Animalia is all about. There are more than 50,000 stray dogs roaming the streets of the Thai capital, Bangkok. Many of them suffer from diseases and disabilities, but the lucky ones are brought to the vet clinics like this, where something's being done to make their lives a bit more bearable. For over 20 years, this vet has been fitting dogs with wheels, custom making what can be described as a pet wheelchair. Each disabled dog that's brought into the clinic is measured so the wheelchair can be specifically made to suit their size, shape, and medical condition. The vet says the idea came to her many years ago when her own pet became disabled, even though he was otherwise healthy. Working with an architect friend, they came up with a design that gave her much-loved pet his mobility back. Since then, she's helped over 1,000 dogs. The device cost between 1,000 baht, the equivalent of $23 for small dogs, and 4,000 baht for larger canines, but it's only used as a last resort for permanently paralyzed dogs or for those not responding to extensive therapy treatment. Owners of these dogs say they're more than happy to pay the fee so that their pets can have a better quality of life. And once the wheels are fitted, there's just no stopping the portable pups. And so to our undersea news department, this badly damaged specimen caught in a trawler's net has been identified as Halifron atlanticus, a bright red jelly-like species of giant octopus not previously found in the South Pacific. The 27-foot-long creature was caught at a depth of more than 3,000 feet, and while a few dead specimens have been found in the past, this species has never been seen alive in its adult state. Wendy is Bristol Zoo's only elephant. She came here from Thailand in 1961 when she was only 1 year old. Now at 42, she's an old lady and not quite as healthy as she could be. 2 years ago, Wendy was diagnosed with hyperkeratosis. It's a condition that causes a buildup of skin, so her skin was getting thicker and she was losing her hair. Vets were worried that the condition was preventing her skin from maturing properly, so they contacted Stiefel Laboratories for supplies of a specially formulated moisturising lotion called Oilatum. Oilatum is regularly prescribed by dermatologists for people with skin complaints, but had never been used on animals, let alone on elephants before. The zoo's vet, Sharon Redrobe, prepares the solution for Wendy each day by diluting Oilatum with water. Wendy's keepers then spray the solution onto her dry skin. Because of her size, Wendy needs large amounts of the solution and apparently enjoys all the extra attention. She loves being bathed and scrubbed, and the moisturising is an added bonus. The skin of an elephant is not particularly thick, except over the back and sides, where it can be 2 to 3 centimetres thick. It is, however, very sensitive to the sun, and most baby elephants are constantly shadowed by their mothers to avoid bad sunburns. Their natural skin colour is greyish-black, but the apparent colour is determined by the soil of the land. This is caused by elephants throwing mud over their backs to help protect their skin. As for Wendy, the treatment seems to be working and her skin condition has improved enormously. Even her hair has begun to grow back. Stiefel Laboratories, the company that makes Oilatum, is so excited about the success of their product on an elephant that they've promised Wendy her own lifetime supply. It's something totally unique, a love affair between a hippo and an elephant. Every day around noon, the elephants at Zimbabwe's Unura Game Park come down to the dam and drink and cool off in the water. Every day of late, the lonesome resident hippo has been eagerly waiting to greet them. "Come on in, the water's fine." The elephants need no encouragement to join him. It's time to play. Jumbo and the hippo become totally engrossed in each other. Are they just good friends, or is it something more? The other elephants seem to ignore their antics discreetly. Whether they approve or not doesn't seem to bother the amorous couple. But if their play is a bit rough and tumble at times, they keep coming back for more. The experts are astounded. They've never seen anything like it. The pair seems to genuinely like each other. Whatever the outcome, the honeymoon seems far from over. The Padmaya Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park, nestled in the foothills of the towering Himalayan mountain range, has gained success over the years in breeding the endangered Tibetan wolf. With the distinction of being the only breeding centre for Tibetan wolves in the world, the park in India's eastern Darjeeling city is home to 19 of the animals, with an additional 3 to 4 cubs born here each year. This medium-sized wolf with long, lightly coloured fur inhabits mainland China, Manchuria, Mongolia, Tibet and southwestern Russia. Known by the scientific name Canis lupus chanco, Tibetan wolves are carnivorous pack animals. The breeding program was started in 1990 with a pair of wolves brought from northern Shimla. According to the director of the zoo, B.R. Sharma, the high altitude of 13,000 feet at which the park is located may be a factor contributing to the successful breeding program, and the reason why other zoos have had no luck in breeding these wolves themselves. A 30-year-old female turtle that weighs between 300 and 400 kilograms has been found on a Venezuelan beach. Experts believe that the sea turtle may have lost her way after being struck by a boat. The nearly 2-metre-long turtle was found on Cocos Beach in the state of Vargas, some 45 kilometres north of Caracas. Alejandro Perez, a fisherman, found the turtle on the beach. He says it really scared him, and he was so impressed by it that he called the police and the National Guard. The police arrived, and then later the National Guard, and then paramedics. Presumably disoriented, the turtle was found with a wound on its head that possibly came from the propeller of a boat. Its shell measures 1.65 metres and the turtle has a diameter of 1.38 metres. The endangered turtle is also one of 5 species that are found in Venezuela. It's a member of the Democheles coriacea species. Anton is a Rothschild giraffe and the newest member of Berlin's Friedrichsfelder Zoo. His 4-year-old mother, Anne, is also the daughter of his father, Alexander, making Alexander Anton's grandfather as well. After about an hour of trying to figure out who he actually was, Anton made his first successful attempt to stand up and walk, a risky business when your baby legs are as long as broomsticks. Rothschild giraffes live in Kenya, Sudan and Uganda and are the largest giraffe species on Earth. Male giraffes can grow up to 6 metres tall. The Rothschilds have the same basic appearance of any giraffe subspecies, except their coats are paler and their patches less jagged than others of their kind. By the time the zoo's newest attraction turns 3, he'll weigh a hefty 1,200 kilograms and be downing 30 pounds of leaves every single day. Spring-like temperatures and bright sunshine enable little Rafaela, the newborn llama at Germany's Cologne Zoo, to take her first stroll with her mother. Baby llamas are also known as criers in their native South America. This one began walking within an hour of being born and was nursing properly within 2 hours. Llamas have a dignified, aristocratic manner and a natural curiosity that often results in the delightful habit of wandering over to sniff strangers. They're even fond of a pat on their woolly backs. But beware, like their close cousins the camels, llamas will spit when establishing a pecking order or as a warning to predators. Llamas were domesticated some 4,500 years ago in the highlands of Peru, placing them among the oldest domestic animals in the world. Today there are around 4 million llamas in South America and over 100,000 living on farms in the United States and Canada. These dogs are the creme de la creme of the canine world, but the finalists are all champions in their own right. At the end of 2 grueling days of competition, one dog proved impossible to beat, and it was no surprise when Judge Burton Yamata picked the crowd favourite to win at Westminster.
But today the best in show for the Westminster Kennels Club is the Newfoundland.
Josh, the Newfoundland with the lovable personality, was named Best in Show and barked his thanks as the Madison Square crowd erupted in cheers. In claiming top honours, Josh beat out a closely shaven standard poodle and a very classy corgi. The judging was harsh. Look at the way he had to dress. All of these dogs were champions, and there's always next year. What do you think, fella?
Oh, well, I suppose so.
Hundreds of poor families living in the slums of the Bangladesh capital of Dhaka make their livelihood by collecting cow dung to sell as fertiliser and to use as fuel for their cooking. In the cattle market, about 200 men, women and children collect tons of cow dung every day to make cow dung cakes for a living. These poor families rely on the trade for their livelihood, selling the cakes at 100 taka each. They transport the dung from the market to huts in their slums, where they mould it into circular shapes and dry it out. The whole day, from dawn to dusk, can be spent collecting cow dung in the market. The families sell the cow dung cakes to make money to live. They use the dung in fish cultivation and in the fields as a natural fertiliser. And due to the lack of gas and other forms of fuel in their homes, residents of the slums also use the cow dung cakes as fuel for their cooking. There are hundreds of cattle markets in Bangladesh where cow dung is available, and those in the trade also go house to house collecting cow dung from bulls and buffaloes ploughing the fields. Bangladesh is one of the poorest countries in Asia, with a per capita income of $300 per annum. Now, if there's anything I can't stand, it's cockroaches. Just the thought of anything that can withstand a nuclear attack and that can run up my trouser leg makes me very girly indeed. And have you seen the size of these suckers? I'm sorry, but there's no way I want to be in the same city as those things. And what, pray, are the crazy people who are holding them proposing to do with them? They're going to race them. Hence the coloured ID spots on the heads of the roaches. The jockeys pick out their favourite roach, put their colour on him, and enter in the race. This is the 7th annual contest, and there seems to be no waning of support for the festivities. They're off.
And going straight in the lead and setting a fast pace, it's, oh, look at that. And coming up closely behind him is I Can't Stand It. On his back is, oh, get it off me. But, oh, look at that, is setting a hefty pace. He's coming up. Oh, look at that, is coming and,
oh, straight into his hand. What's the matter with that guy? Are they starting to look cute to you? No, me neither. It's all part of the world that makes up Animalia.